Hey world, this is Maria Liberati, and you are listening to the Maria Liberati Show, the place where food, art, travel, and life come together in the most delicious ways. From mouth-watering recipes to culinary adventures, from historic kitchens to hidden gems around the world, I bring you stories straight from my Gourmand World award-winning book series and blog, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Now let's rewind back to my childhood in Philadelphia, where I could officially be called an Italian market baby. My love for food started early, tagging along with my grandfather at 4 years old, picking out the freshest breads, cheeses, pasta, and produce for our legendary Sunday dinners. Fast forward to a trip to Italy for my modeling career, which turned into a 20-year life-changing experience. From learning old world winemaking and cheesemaking at my family's vineyard to truffle hunting, working with top Italian chefs, and hosting culinary programs at Italy's most breathtaking resorts, and even hosting a TV series. Oh, and did I mention having my portrait painted by a famous Italian artist? But this show is not just about my journey, it's about you. Join me and special guests for fascinating conversations, inspiring stories, and an unforgettable connection through food, culture, and the art of living well. So grab a cup of espresso, settle in, and let's explore the magic of conversation together. Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. So what does food mean to you? Well, join me today as my special guests are going to give us some money-saving tips on celebrating Father's Day. Yes, Father's Day is almost here. And also money-saving tips for camping. It's camping season. And actually, I think it's camping season all year round, but Father's Day is usually a special time to take a camping trip. And we also have an author and a certified dog trainer, and she's going to give us some tips on dog training. So stay with me. But I just wanted to give my top 10 list of Father's Day ideas and tips before we get started. And here they are. Number 1 is to personalize the celebration. So tailor the day to your dad's interests, whether he loves golf, grilling, or just relaxing with family. Number 2 is to write a heartfelt letter. Skip the generic card and write a personal letter expressing gratitude and your appreciation. Number 3 is to plan a meaningful experience. Instead of just giving a gift, plan an experience like we were saying, camping, or a fishing trip, a movie night, or a backyard barbecue. Number 4 is to cook his favorite meal. Whether it's breakfast in bed or a steak dinner, food is always a great way to show love. Or even pasta. A pasta dinner is great. There's loads of foods that I bet are your dad's favorite foods. So show him some love by cooking his favorite dish. Number 5 is to give a thoughtful gift. Consider something sentimental, like a custom-made item or something practical that he will use daily. Number 6 is to share stories and memories. Take time to reminisce about favorite moments together, maybe even record them for a keepsake. Number 7, let him relax. Sometimes the best gift is a stress-free day. Give him time to unwind and enjoy himself. The Italians have an expression, dolce far niente, which means it's sweet to do nothing. Number 8 is to celebrate father figures. So Father's Day is not just for dads. Acknowledge grandfathers, uncles, mentors, and others who've played a fatherly role. Number 9 is to take photos or videos to document the day, creating memories to look back on. And number 10 make it a tradition. Start a Father's Day tradition, whether it's an annual family outing or a simple ritual like breakfast together. In any event, just make it a special day. It can be simple, something simple as I've suggested. And our guest that's coming up has some other simple suggestions too. Sometimes the simpler is the better. However you want to say it, keep it simple, keep it special, and stay with me for this week's interviews. Discover the timeless secrets of Italian cuisine with a Basic Art of Italian Cooking series by Maria Liberati. That's me. From fragrant basil to silky olive oil, each page is a culinary masterpiece. Taste the passion, embrace the tradition, and create your own masterpieces in the kitchen with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Buon appetito, and you can find the books on Amazon.com, Kindle, on marialiberati.com, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And my special guest is author and certified dog trainer, Kathy Callahan. And she's going to talk to us about her book, about one of my favorite topics, puppies. And I have one of my own, but unfortunately, I still call her my puppy, but she's not anymore. But
we do that in our house too. We call them all puppies, and they are
exactly,
95 pounds and no longer puppies. But somehow
exactly,
there's an endearing kind of feeling to still calling them puppies.
exactly. So, Kathy, thank you for being here, by the way.
I'm delighted to be here. Thanks for having me.
Sure, and tell us the title of your book before we start talking about it. Yes.
Sure. It is called Welcoming Your Puppy from Planet Dog, which sounds like a funny little title. And I've actually seen this book, even though it's a puppy guide, it's a
Right.
full-on practical guide to welcoming a puppy into your home. I've seen it shelved in kids' books, and I've seen it shelved in science fiction and that's not correct. But the reason we went with that concept is
Uh-huh.
it's the easiest way I have found to communicate quickly to people. The
Uh,
thing that will really be the secret to transforming puppyhood to something that feels as joyful as it should, instead of just feeling much harder than they anticipated.
exactly.
And so what we talk about is empathy. You got to lead with empathy for your puppy, because what happens is kind of our society has made it seem like it's normal for us to just go out one day and plunk a dog in our house. And it's really not. This is not a baby human. This is not a stuffed animal. This is a full-on different animal. It's a canine with canine needs. And so when I use that kind of lighthearted title, Welcoming Your Puppy from Planet Dog, I'm trying to convey that this is a giant transition for this poor little puppy. And even though you've been looking forward to it this whole time, you and your family, whoever's in your household, you can't wait for the day you get your puppy. From your puppy's point of view, your puppy has just been pulled from her own culture, from her own people, who all also love to dig and wrestle and bite and mouth and jump. And suddenly she wakes up and she's in human world where she gets in trouble for all that stuff. So what I have found is that if I can kind of convey to folks that planet dog concept, it will build in them the natural, immediate empathy that will guide them throughout puppyhood to making good decisions in the moment based on understanding who their puppy really is.
Oh, that's wonderful. That I love that. That's wonderful. Yeah, I don't think people really get it. They don't really understand. It's not, they're not stuffed animals. They have their own feelings and personality and everything, and you have to try to understand them. And it's actually, I find it really intriguing actually when when they do something and it's like, wow, that's so neat, and I have all these routines that my dog and I do that I don't think people would believe that they could do things like that, but if you spend time with them, there's so many things that they can do and understand. But I think empathy is a very important, right? That's very important to have
I
empathy and understand them.
Absolutely. I actually just got goosebumps as you were talking about this because you've got it. You're so right there. But what you need to do in order to experience what you have just discussed is you have to slow yourself down. You have to stop thinking constantly about what you want from this puppy. Stop. There's a lot of pressure in our society. You want a well-behaved dog and you got to get
Yes.
obedience training, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so there's all this weird pressure where we're kind of nervous and stressed out and we're, oh, this is going badly. I didn't think maybe this was a mistake. Oh no, we're going to have a bad dog. And if instead you calm down, take a breath, understand this is going to be a phase of life where you put a bunch of other things on the back burner and you sit around and observe your puppy and you sit around and figure out who your puppy is. And first of all, you set up your life in a way that your puppy can flourish. You put a bunch of yeses in front of your puppy rather than no's. This is part of the practical advice that comes in with the book is that, you do not, under any circumstances, give an 8-week-old puppy access to your entire house because of course there are a lot of no's there. Instead, you start limiting space and you kind of accept the fact that you're going to live in a smaller part of your house for a little while for the majority of time. You and your puppy getting to know each other in a place where you have puppy proofed and that no mistakes are going to be really terrible. And so you can also reward, whether it's good job, or actual treats for the whenever you happen to see the behavior you like to see. Pretty soon, you're going to end up in better patterns. And just like you were talking about, you have routines and patterns. Routines and patterns are extraordinary for any animal's learning. But in this context, setting up your house to have a bunch of patterns and routines, this is how we do stuff, makes it so much easier for our little kidnapped puppy from Planet Dog to figure out what's next here. And the big thing is we need our puppies to feel safe. What they feel a lot, which nobody used to talk about, is worried and fearful. They don't know what's up. And so, really, your number one job, instead of focusing on, I need to teach them how to heal, your number
Right.
one job is to teach him that he's got you. You are his rock. And once you start there, everything else is going to be a lot easier.
Exactly. And once they have your trust, it's not about teaching behavior. They actually do things because they love you, right? And they trust you. So they do things from trust. They do
That's right.
things because they trust you and they love you and they want to please you. So it's not like a case of bad dog, good dog, this, that.
Nope.
It's they will do things if you just build, let them know they can trust you and you do things again with empathy. And
Yeah.
it's almost like, if you were housing or if you had a person in your house that didn't speak the same language, it's kind of, I
Ex-
mean, I don't want to compare
yes.
a dog to a person, but it's sort of like that. You don't speak the same language and you have
Right.
to kind of figure out, well, how do I speak their language, or how can they understand my language?
That's really it. And the first thing to understand is that this poor little thing is staring at you, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. And they don't
Exactly.
understand we'll you hear from new owners, oh, he just doesn't understand the word no. Well, yeah, he doesn't. And also, you shouldn't be having to say the word no so much. If you are, it means you kind of haven't sat back to anticipate, hang on, I've got a puppy. How do I need to structure this day so that his needs are met? If you don't do that, if you don't find things for your puppy to chew and dig and wrestle with and things to amuse and engage that bright
Right.
brain of his, if you don't do that and you just think you can plunk a puppy in your house, you bet your puppy's going to do a bunch of things that you're going to feel the need to say no to. But I just try to guide people to think about how unfair that is to
It,
put him in this
it
position where
is.
all he sees is no's. You do need to get in front of it. But as you say, when people do get in front of it and put some things on the back burner and start to focus and start to slow down their walks and let their dogs sniff a lot and learn about the world, and then they start to teach them things, fun things, touch and spin, and not these really, you must heal, you must stay, but just
Exactly.
little, teach them some goofy things that builds the relationship between you. Pretty soon what often happens, you don't really want to return to your front burner. You like all the things that you decide that you want to keep the dog on the front burner because you learn how rich that relationship can be. And if you aren't opening yourself up to it and you've put that dog in a tiny little place in your head in your life, you're both going to be frustrated. And you're going to be calling a trainer and saying he's barking so much and he barks at guests and he jumps up and all, blah, blah, blah. Whereas if you, from the very beginning, have cleared the decks a little bit to get to know this animal who you've chosen to pull into your human world, and then you've taught using positive reinforcement, positive guidance with this puppy, not fear, not pain, but you're just teaching. You're going to find that you don't have to work very hard at all. That dog has actually, just as you say, I don't even know if it's so much that they want to please you all the time, but they have learned this is how we hang together. And this is what pays off for me. When I hang out with mom, when she sits on the bench in Old Town, that means I lie down. And it works really well when I lie down because sometimes I get treats, sometimes I don't. And the more you slow down and teach what you're looking for, the more you're going to find you barely have to ask for it. It's just there.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, I just, people just, unfortunately, and I feel so bad for some dogs because people just don't get it. So and I think it's much easier than they're thinking. It's just
I
easier, right?
agree. Yes,
Yes,
I agree. And that's partly in this book. A lot of the puppy guides are very, steps 1 through 10. Here's the exact way to crate train. Here's the exact way your walk has to look. Here's the exact way you should meet another dog. Guess what? This is a lot more like parenting than, algebra. You need to, which is why I go back to the empathy thing, because if you are really throwing yourself into, wait, how is this dog reacting this moment? What's he thinking? What does he need from me? How can I teach this better? You're going to do an amazing job deciding on your own how to move through crate training because there are a lot of different steps. I really resist giving on day one, it should be this, day two, this, because I've seen that work so differently for different puppies. And so I want people to be free to kind of fiddle around and progress in their own way with the idea that they are really watching, observing their puppy. You got to be watching body language. Obviously, they can't speak to us, but my goodness, the one thing to learn is body language. Pay attention. Let your dog speak with his feet. Put your puppy on the ground. So if your puppy walks toward the new thing, awesome. If your puppy is scared of the thing and is going behind you, respect that your puppy needs more distance and less intensity to start to feel okay with this experience. So sharpen those observational skills and you'll find everything becomes pretty easy.
exactly. I love that. Yeah, definitely, definitely. People, I think they definitely need to do that. So as far as taking, before we go, I guess I was going to say, as far as taking, people that should have puppies, or, do you recommend people adopting puppies when they're babies? Like, are there certain, because, I know it's a lot. I brought mine up from when she was like an 8-week old. So it's a lot of work having a baby puppy. So do you think, are there certain types of people that should or shouldn't, maybe should adopt dogs when they're a little bit older and get through the puppy
So
years?
like everything else, this is the answer to that is a giant it depends. So what makes tons of sense is for you to educate yourself on the pros and cons of different ages. If you get a puppy at 8 weeks, yeah, you've got more potty training and more socialization. It's going to be really critical that you have the time to introduce carefully that puppy to the world because this is a key time for the puppy. If instead you adopt a 9 month old, then you can already kind of tell how that dog is. Is that dog already kind of great with other dogs and great with kids? Cool. Then you don't have to do that work, and probably the dog is already housebroken and you can move through that. So it just kind of, different ages are different. It depends on what you want. Certainly, being home a lot, the ability to be, or to have a very good village. This is why this question was hard to answer because You know, if you have a giant job, but you happen to have two amazing neighbors who are somehow puppy deprived and are totally psyched to have one
Yes,
of them come in the morning and one come in the afternoon, you're fine. That ends up being fantastic for your puppy because now your puppy's world is bigger. Maybe the puppy even goes over to that house. That would be great. That makes the puppy's world even bigger. It helps them feel comfortable. So there's no one answer to how old should your puppy be when you get the puppy, but I just do want you to think about who are you? What's your household like? What kind of time do you have? What kind of bandwidth do you really have? This is going to be, I mean, no matter what dog you get in the beginning, it's going to take some time, but sure, puppyhood does involve more. The potty training, the chewing, all that kind of stuff does get easier later. Um,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah, I don't think people realize it. They just see how adorable they are, and they're like, "Oh, it's so adorable."
right,
Until they get them home,
right.
and all the other things start happening, and then they realize it's not just looking at this adorable stuffed
That's
animal.
it.
It's loads of, things that
That's
you
it.
loads of responsibilities.
I swear I blame movies for this. Movies and TV,
Yes,
they show a curled up dog by the fire, and then they don't show the dog for another hour and 45 minutes, and then
exactly.
they show him jumping up and welcome the people home at the end of the day. Oh my gosh. So I think that people just, this is a 24/7 situation. And so if you want to embrace that, and so I personally love to get a puppy at 8 weeks. I love to
Uh-huh.
have that time. I love to have that ability to shape them. We have kept two of the moms that we fostered and we um, welcomed back in a puppy at a year and a half that had been born here. We are just as close to those dogs as we are to the puppies we get. So that's a little bit of a myth out there. Some people think that you won't get as close to a puppy or bond with them as much if you adopt an adult dog. That is not true.
No,
But
that's
what
not
you are missing the puppy breath. I mean, there is something
exactly.
undeniable. Like there is nothing like a puppy for just bringing laughter and joy into your household. Honest to goodness, there is nothing like that. And so
There
if you do
is.
have the bandwidth, it's certainly something at least to do one time. If you ask me,
Exactly.
if you ask me.
Definitely.
But the thing is, you have to be prepared for it. If you're
Yes.
prepared, you can have a terrific experience. If you aren't prepared and you think it's going to be easy, chances are you will be one of those people who runs around saying, "Never again would I get a
Yeah,
puppy."
exactly. Exactly. I agree with you so much. Kathy, thank you so much for being here. This has been, well, it's one of my favorite topics. So
Me
definitely
too. So,
been a joyful interview. So tell us again the name of the book. I'm going to let you say the title.
okay, I know it's long. I'll do the whole title. The whole title is
Yes.
Welcoming Your Puppy from Planet Dog, and the subtitle is How to Go Beyond Training and Raise Your Best Friend. And then I have a new one coming out that is Old
Yes.
Dog, New Dog, and I've got a co-author with that. And Helen St. Pierre, she has a rescue called Old Dogs Go to Helen. So she is
Uh,
an expert in oldies. I'm an expert in puppies. We both get people asking us all the time, "Hey, I've got a beloved older dog. Should I be getting a puppy now? Is this a good time? Have I waited too long? Or should I kind of wait? Or should I hurry up or what?" And there's a lot to consider there. What's the real health of your dog? Will this be an asset for your older dog? Will it be pretty hard? And then how do you manage it? And then Helen has a beautiful chapter at the end about euthanasia because she helps with that all the time. And it's a really beautiful guide for people, and I think it's pretty necessary. So anyway, it's a fun it's a this is so many people go through this tender moment of starting to say goodbye to an older dog, but wanting to continue on their dog tradition. And how do you blend those together and pull your dog tapestry ahead? Your
uh-huh.
journey with dogs ahead. And so the book just talks about that. So
Great. All right, great. And people can find the book on Amazon.
wherever you buy your books, you can find any of these books. So, independent booksellers, Amazon, Dogwise, wherever you like to buy your books, you can find these books.
Great. Kathy, thanks so much for being here. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. I enjoyed it.
Thanks. Join me on a mouth-watering journey through Italy with my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, which brings you authentic recipes, heartwarming stories, and a dash of Mediterranean magic. Whether you're a seasoned chef or a beginner, these books will awaken your inner food artist. Get ready to say ciao to delicious adventures. And you can find the Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, at Amazon.com on Kindle and on marialiberati.com and the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. And my special guest today is, well, she's a regular guest, Ashley Scheuring, and she is going to share with us tips on money-saving tips, as she always does. Father's Day's coming up, camping season's coming up. So she told me she has some special tips to help us save money for those special occasions. Ashley, thanks so much for being here. Yes.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to see you, Maria.
You too. It's always great to hear your tips.
Oh, thank you. I hope that I've got some good ones today.
Yes, yes.
So Father's Day, we usually like to grill out at our house because it's really inexpensive. We can bring a bunch of people together. So this year, we're probably going to do our own burgers and then making them with ground meat ourselves instead of buying the patties. That's usually more cost effective. It's also typically more delicious.
Yes.
And you can save more money by making your own hamburger buns. But it's also that time of year, we were just having this conversation offline, that it's a little hot to turn on the oven.
Yes.
So, there's no shame in buying them, and you can find inexpensive ones, especially at Aldi, but also look for just sales as they come up. And remember that you can freeze bread, because that's something that I like to do. If something is on sale or 50% off, you can just toss it in there. And then other than burgers, I would say opt for cheaper cuts like chicken thighs over chicken breast. Not only are they less expensive, they're also way less likely to dry out on the grill, which I think
There you go. Yes, that's a great idea.
And then finally, for Father's Day, remember the idea of just batching drinks. So we'll make like a big jar of lemonade, maybe a jar of iced tea, and then let people make their own Arnold Palmers. And then if there's, some booze out, that the adults can spike their stuff. Or you can make it BYOB. That's another way to keep expenses down. Just let people take care of that, and you can keep it non-alcoholic, and it makes it a lot cheaper.
Exactly. That's a great idea. All great ideas for Father's Day, and any of that. I guess that applies to the camping.
It definitely does. I had a couple of more things in mind just for camping specifically. I mean, camping is one of the cheapest ways to go on vacation with a family.
Definitely.
So just remember to do a little bit of prep ahead of time. So I like to wash and cut all of my veggies and fruits and have them in containers.
Right.
Batch off some homemade trail mix, because that's going to be cheaper than buying it in a bag or in those little tiny bags. Those are especially expensive. And then, cookies, muffins, all of those things you can make ahead of time. And don't forget to bring along some camping cookware. So anything cast iron is great. Titanium is also excellent, and it's super light for if you're, backpacking in and doing any of the, what do they call it?
Hiking? No,
like you have to hike it. I forget what they call it when it's goodness, I can't remember what the term is, but it's not super close to a plug-in.
Okay.
You're doing it out.
Yes.
So titanium is super light, and you can find some inexpensive stuff. If your dad likes to camp, this is also a really good idea for gifting. I was able to just find this cute little camping stove that collapses down. It's crazy. It's about yay big and maybe a half-inch thick. And then you fold it out, and you can use just twigs and stuff underneath. And that's like your whole stove, which
Oh,
is
that's great.
amazing.
Yes.
And then you can get like a little pot and pan set that, packs up in your bag if you are not going to be at one of those places that you get to just park and start camping.
Right, right.
And then don't forget things like a sharp knife and a cutting board, a wash up bin and some soap,
Huh?
garbage bags, a tarp, which is optional, but it's really nice for a clean prep
Right,
surface.
service.
And then either bring a coffee pot, or what I personally like to do is make cold brew ahead of time. And then if somebody at your camp would prefer to have it hot, they can just heat it up on the stove.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And then remember to bring some kind of fire starting materials. Call ahead to see what the campsite provides. Is there a barbecue? Is there a grate for the fire? Just so you know what you can cook.
Right.
So that you don't have like, okay, well, I brought all of this stuff and now I don't know how to make it with what we have here.
Exactly.
And then one of the things that I found out too is that dry ice, even though it is a bit more expensive to get, it will last you so much longer. Obviously, you need to make sure that you're keeping little hands away from it because it can be damaging to your skin, but it will keep your cooler cold and mess free over a way longer period than just regular ice. So those are all things that I would, before you even start planning on what you're doing, those are just like a couple of things to keep in mind.
Right.
And then some of my favorite things to make are like foil packs. You put a fish or a chicken breast or whatever in there with some chopped vegetables and a little dab of butter, roll it up and toss it on the fire, and it'll cook to perfection because it gets all nice and steamy.
Exactly.
You can do that with baked potatoes. If you're doing any sort of pre-made potato or pasta salad, I recommend going more on the vinegary side of things instead of the mayonnaise side of things.
Yes.
So yeah, there's just you can do breakfast burritos and breakfast sandwiches ahead of time that you wrap in foil and just warm them up in your Dutch oven. So just try to keep in mind things that are going to be crowd pleasing, inexpensive. Definitely lean into your carbs, but stay away from too much that is perishable.
Right, exactly, which mayonnaise definitely is anything mayonnaise-y.
And then don't forget dessert, because s'mores and campfire cones are the best.
Oh, yes, definitely, definitely. All great ideas. And yeah, a lot of people, a lot of dads love to do camping. So it's perfect timing for that. If anyone wants to think of a gift for dad, all those are great ideas
We
also.
just got these cute, like for my husband. Hopefully this won't come out of Father's Day. He's just a doggy dad, but we like to celebrate anyway. But I got him
Yes.
these telescoping s'mores sticks. So they're like little things, and they're only yay big, but then you can pull them out so that you can roast them in the
Oh,
fire, and
wow.
they're
Oh,
so
wow.
awesome.
Yeah, that does sound awesome. That's great. That's great. You can use them in the backyard or camping.
Exactly. And we've got our little fire pit out there where we put all of our yard scraps in. So we try to do that a couple times a year.
That's great. All great ideas, Ashley. Thanks so much. And Ashley, tell everyone your blog also, because that has lots of great tips.
Yeah, I am at confessionsofaggroceryaddict.com. And you can also find me on Pinterest, Confessions of a Grocery Addict. And I try to keep that really nice and fresh for seasonal stuff too.
Yes, and we'll try and put a link to your blog on the MariaLiberattiShow.com blog as well for this show. Great.
Awesome.
Ashley, thanks so much. We look forward to seeing you next month with some other tips.
Absolutely. Thank you. I look forward to seeing you always.
Sure. All right, great. Thanks. Have a great Father's Day too.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the Maria Liberati Show. Thanks for spending some time with me and my special guest today. And special thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, for this week's episode. And as always, you can find me at marialiberati.com. You can find me on Instagram at Maria Liberati, on Facebook at Maria Liberati, on Pinterest at Maria Liberati, on Vimeo at Maria Liberati, on Twitter or X at Maria Liberati. And let's see, our YouTube channel is called The Maria Liberati Show. You can also find my Gourmand World award-winning book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, on Amazon and Kindle, and really anywhere books are sold, Barnes & Noble, and on the publisher's website, artoflivingprimamedia.com. But also, I did mention last week that many of my books on Amazon and Kindle were released as audiobooks last week. So check out Amazon and Kindle for the audiobooks of the book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, if you'd like to listen to an audiobook instead of reading the book itself. And until next week, peace, love, and pasta.